Hello and welcome everybody to today's edition of Breaking News Business here at Mexico News Network. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on all our social networks and to catch us every day by logging onto our website, mexiconewsnetwork.com, for relevant stories and news. Let's start with today's show. In the Yucatan Peninsula, the practice of apiculture has been important since the Maya era. Today, the Yucatan is the primary region for bee honey production, and 11,000 Yucatecan families conduct apiculture as a main source of income, combined with other jobs to make ends meet. In 2015, Mexico reported 42,000 tons of honey, breaking the previous record by 15%. The state of Yucatan is the country's main honey producer and provided 12,000 tons of that in export figures. Mexico is the world's third largest honey producer, bettered only by Argentina and China. The company Maya Honey, now based in the Yucatan, has been producing honey for almost 20 years, exporting almost their entire product to countries with high standards of organic product like Germany. In fact, the company was created in 1997 in Chiapas by a family with German roots, with the intention of integrating beekeepers into a stable scheme, and then later took their project onto the Yucatan. Based on market studies and analysis on current commercial trends, the company focused more on Germany, which is their biggest market to date. The Mexico-EU Free Trade Agreement provides preferential access for Mexican honey in the EU market. It grants a preferential quota of 30,000 tons per year, which positions Mexican honey ahead of all competitors. In order to meet the strict EU quality standards, Maya Honey has invested in new stainless steel tanks and adapted their facilities in both Yucatan and Chiapas to homogenize pots of 20 tons. They've also trained their staff on matters of quality and safety standards, as well as implementing best practices in food processing. Pablo Herman Beutelspacher, General Director of Maya Honey, has focused on having a plan of supplier development so that the company can guarantee the quality and quantity required by the European market. They've generated 25 direct jobs and work with 600 local producers, who they support with training and certification. In other headlines, Mexican coffee production is beginning to get back to its full potential after having had half of its crops destroyed by stem rust spores since 2013, according to Felix Martinez, president of the National Association of the Coffee Industry. Production fell from 4.5 million bags of 60 kilograms in the 2012 production cycle to just 2.3 million bags in the current cycle due to stem rust. The National Association of the Coffee Industry now predicts that production will reach 2.7 million bags by 2017 and will return to the 2012 level over the next 3 years. Annie Café also plans to reach 10 million bags of 60 kilos within 10 years. For this milestone to be reached, the states of Chiapas, Veracruz, Oaxaca, Puebla, and Guerrero will be crucial, since they combine to provide around 80% of Mexico's coffee crop. Jorge Armando Narvaez, Undersecretary of Sagarpa, also said during the Latin American Coffee Summit that the agency will allow giving greater stability and viability to the public policies to boost production within Mexico's coffee industry. To achieve these goals, the Mexican government, in cooperation with the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture and producers, are working towards the Mexican Coffee Institute becoming a reality. And with it, they seek to resolve the various challenges that the sector faces. The Mexican Coffee Institute's function will be to administrate Mexico's export quotas of coffee and to maintain coffee's price stability in the market. The aim is to build together a coffee sector to achieve sustainable productivity with high growth and profitability, together with environmental and social sense. Mexico is currently one of the world's top 10 coffee-producing countries. In 2015, it produced over 234 million kilograms of coffee beans. Moving on, they're called unicorns, private companies valued at $1 billion or more. The billion-dollar technology startup was once the stuff of myth. Today, they're seemingly everywhere, with examples such as Uber, Airbnb, and Snapchat. Currently in Mexico and Latin America, there are no unicorn companies, but that may be about to change. According to Google, micampaña.com could be considered the Uber of marketing because it's one of a kind and they consider it a guaranteed unicorn, so they're interested in investing. micampaña.com is a Mexican artificial intelligence platform that has a unique intelligent algorithm which creates automatically, without any human help, a web page to capture potential customers and internet sales for any business, professional, independent, artist, or any other type of product or service. In the absence of any human intervention, it offers much more affordable fees, so small and medium businesses that cannot afford a marketing agency can go to this startup for the advertising they need to raise their business. The artificial intelligence algorithm shoots ads on Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and thousands of websites in real time, and then optimizes the means to distribute the budget of the business to the ad that generates more potential customers and sales. Now, let's break this down nice and simply. Picture an engineer who's successfully landed himself a job in the very thing he's majored in. He now has a well-paid job at a big US manufacturer, but guess what? Neither this guy nor the manufacturer resides in the United States. In this picture, we're talking about a Mexican guy who's working at an outsourced US facility installed in Mexico. He works out a good salary that pays him roughly around $75 a day or $1,500 a month. He loves his job, and he's very happy. Now let's take a look at this from a different perspective. Back in the USA, the same job position at the same company pays $312 per day. That pays $75,000 a year, which is roughly 4 times more than its Mexican equivalent. As you can see from this case, US companies are moving their facilities across the border to Mexico, where labor costs are staggeringly cheaper. That wage gap easily explains why so many manufacturing jobs have left the US. Since 2000, the US has lost about 5 million manufacturing jobs. Experts believe that NAFTA is the main reason for this, because before it existed, the Mexican government had restricting trade policies with foreign companies, and they couldn't freely decide whom to hire. NAFTA nullified these policies, and USA's trade deficit with Mexico has skyrocketed ever since. So that means we're bringing in a lot more goods into Mexico than we're sending there. That's good for American consumers, but bad for manufacturing workers. Mexico now has become a business haven for international companies like Ford, General Motors, Procter & Gamble, and Caterpillar, which have caused a spike in manufacturer jobs in the US, and has prompted Republican candidate Donald Trump to address the matter in his usual Trump self by stating he'll bring the jobs back from Mexico. Nevertheless, experts argue that the only way to create more manufacturing jobs in the States is by investing in Mexico, which in turn will help reduce the wage gap and lead to affordability of high-value American-made products. After all, Mexicans traveling to the US for shopping purposes is a fairly common practice among middle and upper classes. Meanwhile, Mexico's economy goes up, and we can have more stories of successful Mexicans making it big on US companies. And finally, in economics, the Mexican peso decreased 0.27% to 18.33 from 18.38 in the previous trading session. The peso changed down 2.67% during the last week, down 3.21% during the last month, and was up 16.14% during the last year. Mexico's IPC index increased 0.7% to 46,596 from 46,272 in the previous trading session. Mexico's IPC index changed up 2.65% during the last week, up 4.54% during the last month, and was up 3.3% during the last year. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm your host, Elliot Bullman. And remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.